Welcome back to the Build a Nation Challenge. Things are finally looking very bright in the Faroe Islands. We have 4 teams playing in Europe. We survived in Division B with the national team last episode. And now, B68 needs to take the next step and win something domestically. Starting by looking at our finances, we have $530 million in the bank, with even more to come from Conference League games and prizes. We can probably spend close to double the amount on wages, but we might also want to upgrade training facilities, turn professional this season, and expand the staff area. So, how's our squad looking? Well, this is how it looked at the end of last season, which I think was pretty good. But let's switch over to how it looks after removing players I want to sell or those I don't deem good enough for the first team. Not a lot changes after that cut, and to be honest, I'm unsure how to approach the upcoming transfer window. We want to increase quality, but also avoid having too many players. One area to address might be the left central defender. If we bring someone in here, we'll likely need to loan out or sell Videbake or Wallen. Other than that, I think it might come down to seeing what quality we can bring in, and then maybe selling some of the current rotational options. Well, 1.8 million goes down the drain to upgrade the training facilities, but as I always say, this is worth it if you plan to do a long save like we are. The qualifier groups for the European Championship have been announced, and we've been drawn into a group with Albania, Malta, the Netherlands, and Turkey. Not the worst, not the best, and maybe if we're lucky, we can push for second place. We had 2 games left in the Conference League, and the first one went pretty well. A 3-0 win away against Apollon Limassol. Another 3 points, and we'll probably end up in the top 8, which is brilliant. The second game, against Tiranava, ended 5-0, so we finished the league phase in style. The big surprise is that Klaksvik is 3rd, and Vikingur is 4th. This couldn't have gone much better. The transfer window opens up. For once, we don't have any players released, but we did sell Palmason right away for a small amount. We have 3 players coming in on free deals. Let's start with a name you might recognize, Simon Henriksen. He's played a bit for the national team in Klaksvik, so he's an established player. Did we need another striker? Well, no, or maybe. Time will tell, but I couldn't resist making good deals, and I think all 3 of these free signings are great. Emil Frendrup is a full-back, and I think he's about as good as the other 2 we have. At 21 with more potential and on a low wage of 600, he's a perfect third choice who could become second or even first choice. If there's one position where I like to have 3 options, it's fullback. Patrick Schumacher could also play as a fullback, but that's not why I signed him. I think he'll be our first choice center back on the right side, and I'm already extremely happy with this signing. His value is up to 6.8 million. And I wouldn't hesitate to sell any player for that price. Eric Lienhaug was sold for 10,000. We didn't use him much, and we might move away from using attacking midfielders again. We got another free signing, Jakob Fuglsang. He's a bit more expensive in wages, but it still looks like a good deal to me. He's competition for Osmani, though is probably more of a winger than an inside forward. I think he'll do just fine in this role too. We've been drawn against Rijeka from Croatia in the round of 16. Which should be a winnable matchup and a decent draw for us. We got through pre-season, and the Meistaradilden is about to start once again. The media prediction finally puts us in the top 4, but we're still 26-1 odds to win it, the same as last season. I did end up changing the formation slightly, going back to the 4-2-4. The tactical setup is still the same, with just a few role changes and specific instructions for players. Here we go, first leg, and it starts away from home. A small win or draw is what we hope for, though they are the favorites. Not surprisingly, the first goal comes from a corner, as all 3 previous highlights were the same. It's Henriksen's first goal for us, validating the signing. Kurvinen and Brun Hansen combine nicely before the legend pulls the trigger to make it a 2-0 lead. Oh yes, Henriksen was definitely a good signing. I already knew he'd be good on corners from the national team, but scoring 2 on his debut is really impressive. Oh man, now we're really having a laugh. What a brilliant move by SRS before the goal. We're up 4-0 in the away game. I decided to give Mikkelsen some playing time by substituting him for Henriksen, and he thanked us by stealing the ball and scoring 1 minute after coming on. Full time, 5-0 to us. Sure, we might not deserve to score 5 times, but we did. This means the second leg at home is pretty much a formality, and we can rotate a bit, which is great news for us. The transfer window is closing, 4 in and 5 out, though 3 of them are loan deals. We could still end up selling or loaning out more if offers come in. Alright, so the squad looks like this in the end. I think we can be very happy with it. Good depth, good quality in the starting 11. Happy days. The second leg against Rijeka ended in a 2-2 draw with us rotating quite a bit. I've noticed, and am annoyed by, the fact that if you win the first leg big, like we did here, your players become complacent very early in the second leg. No amount of shout seems to change it, and if there's one thing that's really impactful in this game, is a team full of complacent players. But if this applies to the AI too, then it's not unfair. Just a silly logical issue with the game, in my opinion. Anyway, we're through to the next round. Unfortunately for Klaksvik, they lost, even with what seemed like an easier opponent. I'm actually kind of disappointed with them. On the other hand, I'm very surprised about Vikingur. First, they beat West Ham in the playoffs, then took 3rd place in the league phase, and now they've beaten Rennes in the round of 16. That's actually amazing. I completely forgot about Suduroy in the Champions League, but they ended the league phase in 35th place, with only 3 points. I'm not sure if this is lucky or unlucky. We've drawn Vikingur in the quarterfinals, which might be the easiest opponent. But it also means only one Faroe Islands club can go through to the semi-finals. Okay, here goes the first leg, and we're starting at home. Nice. Our new winger, Fuglesang, has decent long throw ability, and this is one of the best long throw goals I've seen. It works exactly how we want it to. The AI really doesn't know how to handle these set-piece routines, as Mikkelsen is completely free to double our lead. 76 minutes in, on the counter, Vikingur hits back with a goal from Svenningsson. Full time, 2-1 at home, which is alright. Vikingur has historically beaten us when we visit them, so the second leg won't be easy. Here goes nothing. Either a ticket to the semifinals for us or Vikingur. No matter what, this campaign has been a win for the Faroe Islands as a whole. 50 minutes in, it's a game of few highlights and chances, but unfortunately, the one that matters goes Vikingur's way, as they make it even on aggregate. 65 minutes in, we finally get a good highlight, and Overvik finds Mikkelsen in front of goal, who smashes it in. Oh no, an absolutely awful personal mistake just 2 minutes later by Aureliusson. This has to go down as one of the worst mistakes in our time at B68, but they repay the favor. How about that? 2 gigantic personal mistakes in the same game. Not often we see that. 3 minutes into overtime, Mikkelsen gets his hat trick and secures our ticket to the semifinals. Full time, 5-3 on aggregate in our favor. The battle of personal mistakes is over, and we'll continue the Faroe Islands dream. Oh boy, it's another Nordic duel in the semifinals as we face Nord-Jylland. This might actually be the easiest draw we could get, as the other semifinal is between Valencia and Alkmaar. We're straight into the first leg of the semifinal, starting at home. Honestly, I'm surprised the media thinks we're favorites, so I hope we can live up to that. I'm telling you, long throws are a fantastic weapon, and we score yet another from one, just 40 seconds into the game. That's how you start a semifinal. Okay, that excitement didn't last long, as they equalized just 2 minutes later. Oh, come on game. 2 highlights, 2 shots, 2 goals. I'm back to hating this game again. Well, at least we hit back right after with a great volley from Henriksen, and we're all square again. This is a crazy game so far, with 4 goals after just 23 minutes. Full time, 2-2. Not for lack of trying to score again, we actually had 2 goals disallowed. Honestly, we can be extremely disappointed with the outcome. They didn't even get another highlight after those 2 goals, so not getting a win at home could really come back to haunt us. Can we reach a European final with the Faroe Islands club in our 21st season? That's the question we need to answer after this second leg. Here we go. This game is brutally unfair. We're by far the better team on the pitch, yet we go behind with their first highlight of the game, only the 3rd highlight in 180 minutes of game time, and they score a goal in overtime. Kill me. Well, at least there's a bit of karma left, as Henriksen scores 1 minute later, but I'm still pissed. Hell yes, karma is best served ice cold. How do you like that, Nord-Jylland? We deserved it, and everything is good in the world again. Henriksen with the brace in overtime. Now that's what I call drama. Holy moly, full time. We win 4-3 on aggregate. What a crazy drama. I'm kind of pissed, but also amazed at how brilliant that ending was. It would have been so brutally unfair if they'd won with that 91st minute goal. Thankfully, we had Henriksen and Karma on our side today. So, for the first time ever, we've taken a Faroe Islands club to a European final. To be honest, I don't think we could have asked for a much better opponent. With all due respect to Alkmaar, with Valencia out, and any other year with Roma, Aston Villa, Atalanta, or Juventus winning it, this might even be our best opportunity for success in a final. It's time to play the biggest match B68 has ever played, and also the biggest match of the series, to be honest. This is for a European title. Imagine us winning in Europe before any domestic titles with B68. That would be an odd way to glory. After a 2-minute long highlight, we break their defense on the left side, and Aboaji Sarpi makes a low cross into the danger area. Our captain, Osmani, finds the net to give us the lead. Just before halftime he does it again. This time the cross finds Henriksen, who makes it 2-0. Unfortunately, we give away a penalty in the 55th minute, and this isn't Busmek's strong suit, I've noticed. We did it. We actually did it. We won the Conference League with B68 in our 6th season with them. Honestly, winning any European trophy after just 21 seasons with a nation like the Faroe Islands could be a goal for a save in itself. But this definitely changes the projection of our plans, as B68 is pretty much set up for further success now. Well, really need to do one more thing with them. Win a domestic trophy too, hopefully this season. Speaking of which, while we had our fun in the Conference League, we've played half the season domestically, winning 14 games and losing only 1 to Klaksvik. That leaves us in first place with 36 points, 5 points clear of Suduroy. For the first time, we've also reached the semi-finals of the Cup, where we'll face Klaksvik. So we're definitely looking good for a domestic trophy this season if our good form continues. The transfer window opens up again. We do have signings coming in. 2 of them, in fact, that I signed in the winter window, but their contracts weren't up until now. First is Rijeka Faroe, a youngster who could be a decent backup in defensive midfield, or as a central defender. He's extremely versatile and has a strong left foot. The second will be joining soon, Noah Berg, a striker or inside forward. We already have a good amount of those, so we might need to loan or sell someone else to make room for him, as playing time could become an issue. Coefficient points have been updated. A big update, 2375 points, which is the 3rd highest out of all countries. That's a very impressive haul. That jumps us up to 12th place from 18th. A massive jump. It takes us into the promised land, where we get another team in Europe each season, which will accelerate potential points even further and increase the structure and money for the clubs. So we now have a league path and champions path for the Champions League, a direct playoff spot for the Europa League by winning the domestic cup, and only 1 spot for the Conference League. Well, we're selling a player, not a striker, but Orzio, our 3rd choice inside forward. He wasn't playing much, and I guess we might be able to find a younger replacement. And we do find a replacement, Omri Kapeta, who we paid a small fee of 23,000 for. He's not here to set the world on fire, just a decent Israeli youngster who's probably our 2nd best after Kronberg. He's on cheap wages with a value that could give us our money back 100 times in the future. Along with Noah Berg, I also found a 17-year-old youngster on a free, mostly for value, but I guess he'll be our 3rd best option. Since he's contracted as a youngster, his value isn't quite there yet, but in any case, I doubt it was a bad deal for 875 in wages. I would have liked to loan out a striker, but that didn't happen, and the window closed again. Where one campaign ends, another starts not long after. The first team in action is Vikingur, who secure a win in the first qualifier of the Europa League. Klaksvik went through in the 2nd qualifier of the Conference League. Suduroy also managed to easily beat their opponent in the 2nd qualifier of the Champions League. So a good start so far, as all 3 of our teams won their early matches. Since we won the Conference League, we've already qualified and don't need to play before the league phase. Tough luck for Vikingur. They had a bad draw for the 2nd qualifier in the Europa League and got beaten by BVT. So they'll join the Conference League in the 3rd round. Okay, this is a bit odd and got me confused for a minute. The game is telling us that Vikingur lost their third qualifier on penalties, but in fact, they won the shootout. I don't think I've ever encountered this bug before. Klaksvik got through to the fourth round too, so we again have two teams in the fourth round of the Conference League. Not bad at all. Even better, Suduroy also won over Sofia in the third round of the Champions League, so they've guaranteed themselves some league phase football already. Very good. Klaksvik won their fourth round matches in style and will be competing in the league phase of the Conference League. I'm telling you, Vikingur has to be the unluckiest team with these draws, but in this case, they fought back and won a hard matchup against Shamrock Rovers. So, we'll have two teams in the Conference League. The Faroe Islands, again this campaign, will have 4 teams in Europe. Suduroy won their playoffs, so we'll even have teams in all 3 different competitions. That's incredible, 2 seasons in a row. We have our fixtures for the Europa League. A very tough draw. I think we might be able to find wins against Olympiacos and Maribor, but the rest of the lot is going to be very challenging. My hopes aren't high for anything, but maybe a top 24 spot. Guys, we're almost done with the season. We've won 14 games, drawn 1, and lost 3 in this period. But we do have some excitement near the end. We're in second place in the league, as we lost both games against Suduroy. There's a small chance they'll mess up, and we'll win against Vikingur, who's having an awful season. But I think Suduroy might end up taking the crown again. We also have a cup final to play, and of course, that's against Suduroy. So we have 2 chances to win a domestic trophy, but in both cases, we're not exactly the favorites. On the other hand, we've absolutely destroyed the first 3 teams we met in the Europa League, getting maximum points and topping the table with a crazy goal difference. But those were also by far the 3 easiest matches of the campaign. Still, a very good start nonetheless. So let's get this going. We're definitely the favorites against Vikingur, but if Suduroy wins their match, we can't really do anything about it. Still, we need to win this to have a chance. 27 minutes in, we take the lead with a lucky long shot from Relileness that gets deflected. But a goal is a goal. After a failed corner, Berg still finds a way to make it dangerous and messy. It feels like a very realistic type of goal that gets scraped over the line. They hit back with a very good cross and an even better header, leaving no chance for our second choice goalkeeper, Dimitrievich, to save it. Just 1 minute later, we score again, and this is Henriksson's 44th goal this season. Yes, you heard me, 44 goals this season. In overtime, SRE scores his second of the game from a corner via the post. Job done, a 4-1 result. So, we get our win, but that might not be enough. It wasn't. Suduroy easily won their match against B68, so they take the crown as champions. But at least we end up as the second best team for the first time, and we still have a cup final to play. And here it is, another chance for a trophy. We'll probably need both luck and our best performance to beat them though. It starts incredibly, with our new youngster, Groning, assisting Henriksson for his 45th goal of the season after 8 minutes of play. Another of our new youngsters, Kapeta, makes an even better assist with a brilliant cutback for Relileness, who doubles our tally very early in the game. But they managed to repair some of the damage with what I'd classify as a classic Suduroy goal on the counter with a low cross. Trust me on this, we're the disgusting team here. We shouldn't be scoring a third goal just after halftime, but we do, and we again have a 2-goal lead. 73 minutes in, and things aren't over at all. Suduroy scores, and it looks like they could score again with 17 minutes left, but they never do. The game ends 3-2, and B68 have won the cup for the first time in their history. So, not only did we win the Conference League, we now have a domestic trophy too. This definitely happened earlier than I thought at the beginning of the season, but here we are. So, how's the national team doing in the Euro qualifiers? Well, not entirely great. We have 2 wins over Malta, 2 draws, and 3 losses against the rest, with 1 game against Turkey left. That means we're quite far from any top 2 placement, maybe not surprising. The last game against Turkey isn't all that important. And we did end up losing to Turkey in the last game. B68 had their last 2 matches before the season ended in Europe. While we lost to Manchester United, we absolutely destroyed Brøndby 9-1. That leaves us in 3rd place with 12 points after the first 5 games. I think our chances for a top 8 finish are very much on the table, even with some tough games ahead in the next episode. Alright, let's talk about the top performers. There's one man above the rest, Simon Henriksen. I think he broke all the records. Our highest rating of 8.07, a crazy 48 goals in 37 matches, and 9 assists for good measure. This might be the best performance from a player we've seen in this series. This guy is a one-man army. I had no idea who the top assister was. Jacob Fuglsang. He's made a surprising 21 assists with a rating of 7.53, scoring 11 times himself in 38 matches. He ended up playing more than his captain, Asmani. So very good stuff from him. I have a couple of honorable mentions. Horgan Mikkelsen, who's been a very good striker and rotational option, either as a pressing forward or advanced forward. He managed a 7.7 rating, 8 assists, and 22 goals in 32 matches. It truly was the year of the strikers for us. We have 4 really good ones, and Zansrais is another, with a 7.43, rating 3 assists, and 20 goals in 27 games. He would have had more, if not for a 2-month injury this season. I also want to mention Charles Abadji-Sarpé, the highest rated player in our backline with 7.31, mainly due to his 17 assists in 27 matches. That brings us to the club page, with our 21st season over. But in many regards, it's also the most successful season in many aspects. I thought it would take us 10 years to rebuild and build this club into a place where we could be happy, but I think we did it in 6. They're worth 42 million, won a trophy in Europe and domestically with the cup. And we've managed the finances so well that next season they'll have a 4-star training facility and a 3-star youth facility. All in all, we could leave and be happy. But here's the thing, we didn't win the league, so we could also stay. I think what we'll do is stay until the perfect opportunity arises to take over another club of my liking. It could be in 2 months, a year, or even 2. We'll see.
That's it. Good night. Thank you. Please donate to Australia. Have a great time. Get drunk. Take your drugs.